Oh yeah, by the way, kayak Herbert is the main moderator, so
Yeah,
basically
ngisi-ngisi
both
aja.
of us
Oh hell no, bro.
kita cuman like be here
No.
for moral support, and Herbie will carry the rest of the show.
No.
Alright, Herbs.
Lu yang introduce dia ya.
Ayo udah, gue yang introduce lah boleh.
Okay. Alright. Hi guys, welcome back to Cool Down, the podcast that helps you unwind after a long day.
Dia gini.
Kenapa harus gitu terus ya? Aduh.
I thought it was being cute.
Yeah,
It's fine.
it's fine.
Okay, udah. Sorry.
Nggak apa itu BTS. Hey guys, welcome back to Cool Down, the podcast that helps you unwind after a long day. Join us as we discuss whatever the heck we want from the perspective of us three noobs. Kembali lagi, gua Herbert
Gua Alex.
Gua Kevin.
dan kita.
Ini episode berapa ya?
Kita episode 15.
Udah kebanyakan
Moderator
nih,
kan?
16. Nah,
You have a notion, man. Have notes.
I do. Gila.
ya lu
This is a blank.
you're throwing me off. You're like, ain't no way.
Alright, so on this episode, okay, it's so exciting.
Yes.
As you notice, we're using
We have-
English. Because we have an expat
What's English?
in the building. An actual expat. Can you speak some English?
Hi, this is English.
Hi
this-
English.
yeah.
Hi English.
Today's episode, our guest is I think the only person that I actually know who has a YouTube channel that hit 2.2 million views
Oh my gosh.
and who has the most gothic sense of fashion
Thank you.
and speaks the most fluent American English. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Anugerah.
Hi.
You're happy first.
I know. This is so weird. I feel like I'm being put on the spot and be like, hi.
Kind of.
I don't like because this is the one of the things where it's like in the business world you have to be like really good at self-advertising to make it. I'm really bad at self-advertising. I'm like, hi, I'm Daniel. I'm here.
It's okay.
Like
This
yeah,
is-
so like you
probably have 3 viewers or whatever.
Yeah.
like,
For
so-
now.
Yeah, for now. This is gonna be a breakout episode, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We planned it.
Hopefully,
We planned it.
Every video
And
is
then
the
from here,
breakout video.
there's like a spin-off Daniel Anugerah podcast where it's just
Right.
me.
It's like just cool.
just cool. No, just down.
Oh yeah, just down.
Down with Daniel. Hey. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Can you for I'll just let you maybe introduce yourself, a little bit of what you do, and just a little bit of intro aja gitu. And for the record, maybe for this episode we're gonna be mixing and jumping in and out of English gitu ya. Because as you know, Daniel
Yeah.
is an American, just like Herbert.
Okay, let me make it clear. Let me make it clear ya, gue orang Indonesia. Gue lahir di Pekanbaru di Riau. Gue bisa bahasa gaul, tau kok misalnya gue harus.
Oh my God, stop, bro.
Stop it, stop tripping me up, bro.
Dulu
Tapi
TK
kok misalnya
di
gue
mana?
harus bicara bahasa Indonesia yang baik dan benar, I'm gonna like screw up so many times. Yeah, but I've already switched back to
okay.
English.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, a little bit of what you do.
Yeah,
and who you
I'm
are
not an expat, okay? Gue kayak orang Indonesia, gue cuman like I watched too many cartoons as a kid and now I'm broken. Alright.
Whoa. Wow. It's getting deep,
Broken
guys.
boy.
It's getting deep.
Can you introduce a little bit
Right.
of who you are then?
Okay. Hi, I'm Daniel Anugerah. I'm a video producer, I guess. It's like my primary job role these days. Gue udah kenal Alex sejak
Dulu
berapa ya? Kayak kelas 8 ya?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it was like 8th grade. Yeah. I've known Alex's wife since 3rd grade.
Marilyn.
Shout out to Marilyn behind the camera.
Wife, don't forget it's wife now. It's
Yeah,
wife.
wife, yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, amazing. Good weird, exactly.
All right.
She's shooting
Yeah, she was like,
daggers
what the
and, like, weird how.
Be careful
Nothing.
after this. They're like, be careful after this.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm a video producer, as he
Video
said.
producer,
In 2018, I launched me and my friends who are primarily kayak anak-anak dari UPH. We were like, hey, we should make YouTube videos about like that's like educational.
Hipotesa.
Yeah, and then so we launched a like educational historical channel namanya Hipotesa. That was in 2018. And now we're at, I believe, like around 400,000 subscribers.
That's more than us, I think, a little bit, right?
A little bit.
Just a little bit, just a little bit.
We're getting there.
Yeah. I actually like forget about like the subscriber count a lot because it's like changes
That's
a
fine.
lot.
We'll pull it
It's
up.
fine.
That's
We
not
got the
that's not
data
a
here, bro.
boast, alright? I'm
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Then
definitely a boast.
after
I'm not in like I'm not like part of the marketing team or anything. So like a lot of the knowledge, I just know how to like make the videos on like Premiere and whatnot.
It's okay.
Like I'm not like.
You work for it, so you deserve the most.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's fun.
But I mean, also like shout out to like my team. Obviously, it wasn't just me. I handled the video side, obviously. Tapi kayak we have team team members who handle sort of like the business side of thing, who handles like the research and the writing, which I think is like sort of like half. If not more than half of what Hipotesa is, right? I mean, like, I'm really good at making videos. Like, thanks. Like, everyone hypes me up for it. Thank you. Tapi kayak, I think a lot of the value that we bring is the fact that, like, our scripts are, like, well-researched and well-written, and I can't take credit for that. That's Kim Little Noni. Shout out to Kim.
Make sure they're watching this.
Yeah, they will be. For sure. Yeah, he is like basically it's one of the things. Also, shout out to like Edo, who is like our sort of like our business and like management side of things. Very very good at like just like making connections. Very very good at sort of like figuring out like I mean I'm a very very impulsive. I'm not a very very good business person. Like I look at an Excel spreadsheet and I throw up. Tapi yeah, Edo is the one who like handles a lot of like the business. He makes sure that I mean we don't do brand deals anymore, but back then when we were doing like collaborations and brand deals, he's like the person to like make connections and stuff like that. He's also the person that makes sure that like there's enough money flowing through the company and there's that money goes to like the right places to the right people. Like I'm not very, very good with that, so like yeah.
Okay.
But that was sort of like 2018. I still am sort of a semi-active member now, because like starting last year, I sort of like I'm starting a role as video producer for a like a pro-democracy organization called New Naratif, which is like active in Southeast Asia. And then, other than that, yeah, those are like my main roles. Other than that, I take pictures. I like street photography. I like experimenting with like fashion and buying clothes thank you. And accidentally buying the wrong sizes and then returning them, or then finding out that you can't return, that you have to get your size right immediately. And I'm like, and I'm like, this doesn't sound right. But then again, like, if you buy something for 30,000 on Shopee, that's the kind of customer service you get.
Right.
Don't buy fast fashion, guys. Not worth it, I swear. But yeah, I guess that's it. Anything else? Yeah.
You're Daniel and you're here.
I'm Daniel and I'm here.
All right.
Nice.
I guess kayak tadi you touched a lot. I mean you basically gave us the operationals of your YouTube channel kan tadi. Like
Kind of, yeah, but actually.
Can we talk a little bit about the YouTube channel nih kayak like because previously I wasn't even that familiar and neither were Kevin and Irby kan. Terus when I told them one video hit 2.2 million channels.
Views.
I mean,
Channel.
Oh my god. Can we dictate? 2.2 million views.
Yeah.
We're like, how? Like, because we're
trying to do that.
Yeah, we kind of want to get maybe 1 million.
By the grace of God.
And then what is it about at first gitu kayak, can you tell the viewer kayak, what is your channel about? And how did you start it gitu? What gave you the idea?
Yeah, what brings you to that?
Why make a
YouTube channel about that
stuff?
Got it.
Because I think that's very niche, right? Like it's not like a skit, a fun type of videos. Like
So I'm gonna talk about like the operationals of running it later on, but first I'm gonna give you the story of like how it started, right? How it started was around maybe June or like more like May 2018 3 dudes got together at a McDonald's
Oh my
in
God.
Karawaci. If all my UPH, all my Tangsel
No, I know
peeps.
that. I
Yeah,
know
lu
the
tahu
Mac
kan?
itu.
Yeah,
Yes,
kan?
yes.
Yeah.
I've been
It
there.
was like 2 in the morning, and then kita kayak, guys, kenapa kayak kualitas kayak video content on like YouTube, especially for like Indonesian audience ya, kenapa kok kayak jelek banget ya? A lot of it is like conspiracy theories, a lot of it's like Kompas or like Berita Satu, and what they're doing is literally mereka cuman kayak Kompas broadcast mereka, and then they just upload it and it gets like 60.
Kompasin itu.
And
Kompas
gossip,
TV,
right.
yeah. And then they get like 112 views, and they're like, business model. I do business model, right? So we were kind of like, and back then this was sort of like the era where like channels like Vox, that's VOX, not FOX, Vox, channels like Vice Media, yeah, they were very, very like booming because they were giving, they were sort of like revolutionizing the way that you communicate content, right? It's not like news is no longer like person sitting behind a camera and like talking like, oh yeah, behind me is like kebakaran apa gini, and then like
More-
back to you in the studio, right?
More visuals gitu ya.
Yeah, more visuals. It's also, so it's kind of like, it's the understanding that like most of the people that is going to be on YouTube is probably between 15 to 25. Our main demographics are actually, I think, 18 to 35 male, unfortunately, but like, yeah, predominantly still male. We're still trying to break into.
Females.
Yeah,
Please.
we're talking about politics. Politics isn't everything. You don't think that if, yeah. Think of a part of life you think is not influenced by politics, and I'll tell you how it is influenced by politics. That's sort of my job. But yeah, we were like, what's the niche? So it's not really a niche, right? It's sort of like, what is the market lacking?
Yeah.
And what the market was lacking is quality presentation, because people think that like you can just shoot whatever, cut it, upload it, and people will watch. That's not how it works, right? The way the person consumes YouTube and the way the person consumes TV is very, very different, right? If you're
Yes.
watching TV, you sit down, you have a remote, and then you switch between like 16 channels, and you're limited to those 16. If you're on YouTube, I don't like this. I'm gonna close the tab, and I'm never gonna see it ever again in my life.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like, even if you have like, I don't know, like cable TV where it's get like 100 channels, eventually lu bakal muter lagi and you'll arrive at the 100 channel again.
Indonesian.
Yeah, right? So we realized that like you really have to grab the audience attention very, very quickly. And that's usually done by, number one, production quality, but also quality of writing, right? You can't just deliver news like it's like a class lecture, or like you're just like a news that's very, very like boring. It has to be very, very like fast. It has to be like it has to like pique the audience's curiosity very, very quickly, where it's like, hey, do you know why we celebrate our Independence Day tanggal 17 Agustus dan bukan tanggal 16 Agustus? You want to know why? Well,
Here's why.
yeah, here's why. Stay on the channel right after this intro. That's how you, yeah. And it's not like, jadinya ya, anak-anak, tahu nggak Indonesia itu merdekanya 17 Agustus 45. Tahu kenapa? Karena begini, karena begini, karena begini. I'm like, I'm bored, right? Exactly,
Yeah.
right? That was also like my 3rd year in university. So I was sort of like, when I get bored with like the lecture or the book that I'm reading, I switch to videos, and I find that I can actually understand a lot more. Setelah gue ngerti dari videonya, baru gue transisi ke bukunya, and then I can connect the dots because I already have the big picture in my brain, right?
Okay.
Right.
And so we realized sort of like Indonesians, when they graduate from university, when they graduate from high school, have a very, very limited knowledge of like the history of our country, but also the history of the world.
Yes.
And then there's that gap of knowledge of what you're expected to know when you enter college or when you enter the workplace. Of like, lu tuh kayak udah di expect lu harus tahu like how the world works when the schools don't necessarily like teach you how to do that. One, but also don't teach it in a good way that you remember, right? Like, I think we're very fortunate that we go to a school that sort of like at least has like a second thought about like, hey, let's teach history in a way that's like important and interesting. What I found out was that like that's a lot of my friends' experience who didn't go, who just went to like national schools. It really is like very basic. Kayak belajar ini, oh ya Majapahit dari tahun segini sampai tahun segini. Terus setelah itu baru ada penjajahan VOC sampai segini, and you're like, cool, what am I supposed to do with that information?
Yeah.
So the second thing that we did with the channel is we tell you why information is important. It's not enough that you tell this is information. You have to tell them like okay, yeah, Majapahit itu dari segini setelah Masehi sampai segini setelah Masehi. So what, right? And then the point of the channel was basically to tell people, oh, it's important because there are certain legacies that are left behind, right? Kayak misalnya kayak just off the top of my head, kayak bagaimana Indonesia sekarang mengkonstruksi perbatasannya, right? Like where Indonesia starts and where it ends. Where is Malaysia? Where is Indonesia? Where is Papua New Guinea? Where's Indonesia? That's influenced partially by our histories as Kerajaan Majapahit, and then okay, VOC datang, Cornelis de Houtman datang with like VOC. Why is that important? Oh, it's important because this is this, and so we remind people that like it's not just information; it actually has impact to people's lives, and I think that's one of the big things that like was really missing. Right? It's just information, and then a lot of people don't know what to do with it. We tell them like, yeah, here's information that you can use in the world, or this is information that actually has an impact. What I mean, but like the future of Indonesia lah. I know it's very kayak bahasanya sangat grand, but like we were kind of thinking of like, if for like let's make what's information that could like inspire someone about Indonesia, or to learn more about Indonesia, or to like do something about Indonesia. And that's basically like how it started, and we were like, let's do it. Okay, cool. We were basically I was like, I can edit videos.
right.
Yeah.
And obviously now it's at 440k.
Yes.
Yeah.
With like millions of views, and I'm looking at the channel now. You have 1.7, 1.3, 1.1, 2.2, 1.1. So you have a lot of like hits sort of lah.
Yeah.
For a history channel, I think this is pretty good.
Because I think
history too.
I think it goes back to it stretch more than the factual stuff, right? Like ada
The why.
The why gitu, kayak kenapa connect kenapa bisa kebentuk kayak sekarang. It's really interesting because I think last year I was really into this channel called Jack Trend. Do you know?
Jack what?
Jack Trend.
Jack Trend.
Jake Tran. Yeah, I know.
Trend.
Yeah.
Jake Trend.
Jake Trend.
Like not
Jake,
Jack.
with
Jake.
Jack,
See, this is why I'm not.
It's okay.
Jake Trend.
Jake
Like
Tran.
I feel like there's a connection between you and this channel. Kayak maksudnya, I don't know if you knew this channel before you make it, before you make your channel, your own channel, but this is basically like that. Like you have the factual stuff, but you make it more interesting.
Yeah.
You
connect
package
it.
it
Yes.
in a way that people would be curious about.
You make you make them curious. It's not like ini tanggal segini terus kayak
Tapi sebenarnya about that like I'm interested in like obviously you had some success kan ini mah kayak millions of views. I was interested in do you remember the point where like how many people were involved in creating this?
So it started with those three people, right? There was
3 people.
Yeah, it was me, Kim, and Edo. Basically, a business person, a research person, and a creative person.
When did you guys like start thinking? Okay, wait a minute, we have something. It's like we could
traction and like
traction and like we can actually like make this pretty big. How did that story happen? See, just maybe a little bit of that because we still have so many to go through.
I mean, probably about maybe 3 months after that, where we initially was just sort of like, hey, let's just be fun about it, and then at least at the time, I mean, Edo introduced a lot of the ideas to us, but then I mean we also interacted, and so some of it was my idea, some of it was Kim's, but the main thing was and I don't agree with it now honestly, but back then we were like, hey, we could be like a media startup, and this was 2018. Startups were feasible. It was Silicon Valley VCs were pumping billions of dollars into anything that sounded vaguely interesting, and the economy bubbled since then, but like this is before the bubble popped, right? So everyone was like, hey, if we market ourselves as like an online media company, we can get investors. Actually. And then we did, right? And then so it's like about a year. So initially it was Edo had like a friend namanya Anjas Maradita, who also has a very, very big YouTube presence. Anjas Maradita, who also owns like a YouTube sort of like conglomerate namanya Daunet, DAUNNET. Basically, he was like a tech YouTuber. He was doing already a lot of stuff, and then basically, tech YouTubers get sent like free stuff to review, and basically he had like a stack of laptops that he was like, hey, ini dikirim sama like Asus or Lenovo or whatever. I'll sell this to you, on like a very, very cheap price. In exchange, we write an MOU, and that MOU akan menandakan bahwa I have shares in whatever future company you have, and that's basically the deal. And basically, we basically got a bunch of like free laptops and like cameras in exchange for future, shares in this hypothetical media startup. Yeah. And then that's how we got going. That was like the first year. A lot of it was just like, I guess you can say it was sort of like bootstrapping it, but it's also kind of like we had like additional help. And then over the course of that, we just sort of developed it being like, hey, we could be a big thing. We could be like an online media thing. We could have a website. We could have an app. An app solves everything. You know what the world needs? One more app. Right? I'm a very different person now, politically and realistically. And I'm like, looking back into those days, I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't know what we were smoking back then, but we were smoking something.
Give it to me right now. I need it.
Take me back. What is this optimism I had about the world, right? Tapi kayak, ya gitulah. And then about a year into it, we through some connections, we met one of the, at the time I believe he was an executive at Ovo. Now currently he's the founder of Hangry, if you know that company.
What?
Hangry? Which
like,
is like
the F&B?
Yeah, the Ghost Kitchen F&B.
Oh, Ghost Kitchen F&B.
Yeah, Hangry, right? They do moon chicken. They do sangyu. Yeah. So I know the founder from church. Basically, and then like I connected them up with Edo, and then he looked at the Edo. They went over like business proposals, and basically they were like, "This is a good idea. It could be something. I will seed fund this for around I believe it was like 300 million for around I forget whether it was 12 or 20% of the company. There was basically a 2 in the number, and it was above 10. That was basically how much we got, and then basically we were like, that's a lot of dough.
Is that like the first time you guys had an actual like injection of money?
Yes, it was like, it was an angel round as well. It was right. And it was like
they're like startups actually.
Yeah, like startups. Like I heard something like only like less than 20% of startups actually get angel rounds, which is really funny. I mean, it's a very, very risky investment at that level, and I don't really know if we can technically justify that we made good on those investments.
And then what? After that, it's like
shares. People that are shares dropped after a statement by co-founder Daniel Anugerah.
300 million, baby.
Bye.
Got that on cam 4K.
Sam Backman-Fried, you ain't seen nothing yet.
And then
anyway,
from there, is it off to the races? Like everybody was like, let's f***ing do this, or like what happened?
Not really, but that was sort of like a slap. That was. Do I need everyone to like a breath? Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I like making fun of like startup people because they're delusional. we're in a state of the world where like startup culture is quite delusional.
Yeah. At that point, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And then even I used to be like, crypto sounds feasible.
Yeah.
Now we're in a world where like, bro,
Crypto.
I bet you get no. You know, right?
And then how did it?
Oh yeah, sorry.
We have a one coiner right here, by the way. So
Okay, all right.
I got my coin up there.
Good luck.
And then.
Good luck is all I can say. Anyways, that was sort of like a slap in the face for us. Not in a good way. Sorry, not in a bad way, but in a good way of being like, okay, let's get serious about structuring the business. Let's get serious about like making this sustainable and whatnot. Actually, at that point was what enabled us to sort of exist. At that point, we were like fresh grads. And then the fact that we were like fresh grads and we could actually sort of have this venture that could like pay us a decent amount was pretty amazing. We were like basically doing the math of like, hey, let's get serious about brand deals. Speaking of crypto, we actually did like a brand deal with Pintu at some point. Like way back in 2019. Yeah, I met the founder of Pintu back when he was like itty bitty, you know, before the big billboards, and like, yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. And then we were like, oh yeah, let's talk about like blockchain, the future of money and stuff like that.
blockchain.
Yeah.
Future of money, damn.
Yeah.
And like, how did it get like here? You know,
Yeah,
like-
he's getting there, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
1905, bro.
Chile,
The thing is, I feel like your question is trying to be like, what's the secret to your content?
No. I mean, like,
But that seems to be it seems to be like the implication of your question is being like, yeah, how did it become big? Is that it?
no.
Oh, okay,
Like,
alright.
obviously, right now we're not focusing on Hipotesa that much, right?
Oh, okay.
So I was asking,
Yeah.
like, how did you get to your
I
next
see.
chapter?
Okay. Okay.
Like you know, like what happened?
so like,
with
what's the
that?
ups and then what's the
Yeah,
downs?
Oh,
because like
okay.
we
The
still
story,
have,
right,
like
right.
your narrative, education,
Oh, that's
mental
true.
health,
Yeah.
like
How are we on time?
we are.
We're not good.
Yeah.
What? We're not good?
No.
Nah, not good. No.
Not good.
That's
Okay.
right, that's right.
Cool.
Let's just
I
go with it.
talked too many things to talk about. Yeah, we got pretty damn successful. And then like, I'm just gonna talk a little bit more about Hipotesa and like, you know,
Yeah,
about like
yeah.
content and stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like, you know, growing your content organically is kind of a lie. Mainly because, it was like very, very like calculated things that we did, right? We tried to anticipate things like trends. We tried to anticipate, for example, like, you know, we try to anticipate what things are going to be popular. Like, you know, if we're gonna talk about Indonesia politically, whenever September rolls around, everyone wants to be talking about communists, man. And like September Indonesia pasti kayak G30 SPKI. Everyone wants to talk about like what is communism, and like that's always like the top search of the month, right? And so you can do things like that where you anticipate trends, right? And so like for example, oh yeah, September's coming around, let's talk about like, oh yeah, sejarah kayak komunisme itu apa sih, like stuff like that. There's also like collaborations, some of them not so successful. Like we've worked on collaborations where we actually had like a guest on the podcast with like significantly more views than we did at the time, but then that really didn't it really didn't translate. Versus like a year later, where someone relatively famous just like retweeted our videos, not even like didn't appear or anything, cuma retweet doang, tapi kayak dia tuh kayak ada 120,000 followers on Twitter, and everyone just like jumped on our videos. So kita tiba-tiba kayak, loh, and it was like exploding basically with views, and we're like, oh yeah, so yep. I think people think this like organically, just like do your thing for a while. I think that's like a little bit of a lie. It's easier to do that on TikTok maybe, but like on YouTube, it's still you have to like be very, very, very like think about the content that you want to make, unfortunately. And then, or else you're gonna get locked into a niche. And I feel like that's kind of, even though we're relatively popular, we kind of got like locked into this niche where we were doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I think for me creatively, that was beginning to like stagnate. But there was a lot of things happening, right? It wasn't just one thing. We were very, very successful because basically through a bunch of like friends talking about on like news, we were quite successful in the beginning of 2022. Karena we successfully anticipated the Russian invasion. I don't know how we did that. Honestly, it was just like a friend of mine talked about like, hey, this seems like big news. Maybe you should talk about Russia. And I'm like, is this really important? Are they really going to invade? They've done this before in the past. I talked to like my writer, and then he's like, yeah, let's give it a try. And I'm like, okay, I feel confident in it. And then like we released the video one day after the invasion happened because we lined it just right. And then we were like, okay.
Is it the most viewed?
No, but it views go brr. We had like 100,000. Yeah, we had like 100,000 views within like a day, which is like we've never seen before. And then within like 3 days, it was like nearly 200,000, nearly 300,000. It was crazy. But yeah, but honestly, you know, I think. The recession happened, right? And then like as we were looking for a brand deals left and right, but then like we were running out of that money we got from the initial fund, and then by that time it was like 2022. No one's investing because everyone's like, oh yeah, recession, we don't want to spend money, despite the fact that like the economy, I don't know how the economy works. It's magic. How is COVID happening and then you're recording record profits at the same time? It doesn't make sense. Economy's magic. Money isn't real, people. Anyways, so that was happening, right? There was like a recession. It was very difficult to get money. We were starting to like cut. We were cutting salaries and payments because we just needed to survive. Which personally I wasn't very comfortable with because like we were already paying people very below minimum wage as it is. Like the fact that we were cutting things was like, one, it was impacting like my life quite heavily. It was also impacting people's lives. So like, I don't know, it was just very difficult.
Hard place, yeah.
Yeah, hard place. And we were also like, okay, I think we might need to start looking for like second jobs and stuff like that to like help support. Right. And then luckily, well, not really luckily, I was also in like a relatively bad place at the time. I was like depressed because of like personal things that was happening in my life. And I was like, I want to do something stupid and crazy, like leave the country or something. I just don't want to be here anymore. And then, very, very luckily, a friend of a friend of a friend sent me a Discord message, and it was basically like, hey, there's this company, it's called New Naratif, they're looking for video producers, do you want to apply? And then I looked at like the job application and I was like, oh my god, this is pretty cool. And then I looked at the content that they were doing, that's pretty cool. And then I looked at the benefits and I'm like, yo,
even cooler,
even better. I get 6 months off a year. Like that's not 6 months.
2022. Yeah.
July 4th, 2022 was when I received. America. Yay, imperialism. July 4th, 2022 was when I got that Discourse mention, and I was like, oh, this is good. And within 3 days, I applied. Again, there were very good benefits. There was leave. There was like company paid therapy, very, very good. They're also paying really, really well. It was also like an international it was a regional organization, so there are team members in Malaysia, in Singapore, in the Philippines, and it was big. So it was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I saw that they have a relatively they had a good thing going for them. They just didn't have a very, very strong video presence yet. And I was like, hey, you know what? I feel like I can contribute to this. And I applied. Within a week, I heard. Within a week after that, a week after that, I got interviewed. A week after that, I was like second interviewed. And then a week after that, 2 weeks after that, I was like, hey, we want you to join us aboard. Let's meet in person. And then like, okay, we had like a meeting in person. I was like, yaudah, salam tangan. And then like, congratulations, you are now an employee. You start. And then I started work at like 18 Agustus last year.
So about just about 1 year.
Just about a year.
Yeah, it's 1 year.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
How are you like liking it so far? Like after a year, like is there like an experience you wanna tell us about this this new company or?
Yeah.
And what is it? Okay, is it a
like just in general?
Yeah, we're
just
now
like
transitioning out of Hipotesa.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do I start?
Because you call it an organization.
Yeah.
Right?
So we're not really a company per se. What we call ourselves is we are a pro-democracy organization in Southeast Asia. So we have our hands in a lot of things. And, we do a lot of, I think we have like a front-facing media component to the organization, which is why we have a website, we have a YouTube channel. You can look it up right now, newnaratif.com. We do a lot of articles, we do a lot of comics, we do a lot of explainers, and they're mainly about like Southeast Asian politics. But we also do a lot of research. We also do a lot of community organizing, right? So you think of narrative is, imagine if you cross a like storytelling studio with a think tank, and then crossed with like a community organization. That's sort of what New Narrative is. We don't really only do one thing, we do a lot of things. So there's a lot of advocacy, there's a lot of human rights element to it, there's a large research element to it, there's also a large editorial aspect. Editorial in the sense that like we publish a lot of things. And basically what we do is we are an organization that is trying to protect, I guess, democracy in Southeast Asia, but we want to like empower the people of Southeast Asia to be able to hold their government accountable, basically to make Southeast Asia a better place. And then that's what we're trying to do. So that's the very complicated thing. It isn't just one thing, right? Like New Narrative was basically built to solve this problem of. So our founder PJ Tam is a lecturer in Singapore. Used to be a lecturer in Singapore, and then he used to give a lot of talks at these events that are like pro-democracy, that are trying to like improve the state of democracy in Singapore. And basically a lot of people come up to him with the question like, hey, what do I do now, right? It's like whenever you open a news article, right? You see that like, oh yeah, there's korupsi ini, ada like hutan kebakaran ini, ada this coal or that, Jakarta pollution. You're like, oh my god, the world is a shit place.
Yeah, Jakarta pollution.
Yeah, right? What do you do, right? The news article like reports saying that like the world is a shit place, and then we feel bad about it, we feel sad, or sometimes we feel angry, we feel like, oh my god, this country should be better than it is, but then we don't know what to do with it, right? Yeah. So the reason we don't call ourselves strictly a media organization is we don't have that sort of like impartiality of like, oh yeah, we like this is the news, but we can't, we have to stay neutral, stuff like that. No, a lot of what we do is like, some people would call it like activist journalism. I think what we do is slightly different. What we do is like basically we give the people information about Southeast Asia that is important to them, or maybe information that they think is important for themselves as well. We give it to them being like, hey, here's like all the details, right? Here's the really, we have like very, very like, we have pretty good research teams, and then we have very, very like concrete reports, and there's like, this is what the research says, and like, here you go, this is information. But then after that, we also have like very, very strong calls to action, right? So we empower the people to actually do something. One of the big parts of our organization is we do these things called democracy classrooms, or kelas demokrasi in Indonesia and in Malaysia. What we do is like, you know how like a seminar is always like big speakers talks for 45 minutes and then like Q&A 15 minit gitu kan.
Yes.
We flip that around. Whereas like before you come to the event, we just email you the reading, so you read at home.
Okay.
And then so the expert or the writer or whatever, they talk for like 15 minutes, and then the rest of the 45 is actually
going back and forth.
Going back and forth, where you can actually ask.
Oh, that's nice.
Like, where people can be like, oh yeah, my background is this, what do I do? And then we also, we have like breakout rooms where we're being like, where we act more as like facilitators and moderators, and then we let the people like bounce back the ideas back and forth. Because what we want to do is sort of like dispel the illusion that like, in order to make change in Southeast Asia, you have to be titik, right? It's always being like, if you want change, either you have to be a politician, which is pejabat, or you have to be like aktivis, kan harus turun ke jalan, harus kayak, like, which I've sort of done a little bit of both. I've worked in like non-profits, and like I've done like visits to like DPR and stuff like that. And I've sort of, I don't know deep experience, but like I've seen that. I've also been, di jalanan where like I've been like tear gassed a couple of times. And it's like, it's weird because we think of like we think of our country as sort of like jalan sendiri tanpa kita terlibat, right? Sometimes where it's like, oh, if you want to make change, either you have to be an activist or you have to be like DPR or like. We don't believe in that. We want to remind people and also empower people that have like, yes, you can be a student. You can be just like a regular worker. You can be like a business owner.
Yeah.
You can be like an employee. You can be like anyone who lives in a country should be able to get involved in one way or another, right? And so we try to do that, whether we connect them with like advocacy causes, whether we connect them with like legal aid institutes, we connect them with like communities and stuff like that. That's what we try to do. So it's like you don't have to be tanda kutip important to
make
actually
changes.
help change.
Okay.
You can just do it whatever, right? I know it's a very, very difficult thing to do, especially in this day and age where like it's also like, you know, we work 9 to 5 jobs, and by the time, you know, we go through traffic and then we get home, it's already kayak 6:30, kita pengen makan malam, pengen tidur. It's like we have no time for ourselves. We also like, you know, we kind of like, we want to do our best to make it like, I don't know if entertaining is the right word, but make it something that like is not just like
factual.
we want to make it like fun. That's why we have like comics. That's why we have videos, because we don't believe that like we don't want to just make you depressed and then like but we want to also be like, hey, let's not just tell you that things are bad. Let's also like celebrate our culture. Let's also do have these events where you can talk about lives and stuff like that, but at the same time still connect them in ways that are important to making change in Southeast Asia. So
So basically, like from what you're saying, it's basically like hipotesa, kind of like like it's stretched more than the factual stuff. Like for in this case, it's political. You give them the research, right? But then you make it more like a discussion, like a call for change, a call for action. Sorry, right?
Yeah.
Basically, like maybe is that kind of why you're interested in this new narrative, because it's kind of reminds you of the like hipotesa in the first place gitu.
Yeah.
Is there like a connection? Like I'm just curious. Like,
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think media is like a big part of our lives. Like art and creativity is in everything, right? I think people like to think that like art and creativity is like a secondary thing, right? Like apa ya? Bayangin aja back then when like COVID was really at peak, you know, we have essential workers, where it's like healthcare workers, doctors and everything. And I'm not saying that they're not important. They're very, very important. And then you have like the banking and the insurance industry, and then like, you know, things like basic services like food and stuff like that. And at the very, very bottom is like artists and creatives, right? Because people are being like, butuh apa sih? It's like, you know, like, okay, like on one hand there's like people, doctors who are like at the risk of dying every day, and like there's like me drawing on like AutoCAD or like whatever, and being like, yeah, you're not really that important. But like I think we forget that like everything without creativity, everything is going to be very, very bland, right? Like just imagine if this room is just white walls, white floors, white table, laptop is just like white thing, just keyboard. Like the way that we interact with the world is made so much better with creativity. It's just like, sometimes you're not shown the connection between like, hey, someone worked to make this like entertaining or like palatable to you, and then if you make that connection, you realize like, yeah, of course, like you know, like imagine living for 1 month without like Netflix, Spotify, like cancel everything, cancel your Netflix or Spotify. You can have like a like your laptop can have like a wallpaper and stuff like that, and then it's kind of being like, oh yeah, like creativity is very, very big. And so like
that's why I went into media.
Yeah, that's why I went into media, just because it's like people have these like imaginary lines where it's like, oh yeah, this is like the politics, and then this is like the art, and then this is like medicine, this is like chemistry and engineering. I'm like, that's not how the world really works. Everything is involved.
Intermingling, right?
Yeah, intermingling there.
It's connected.
Everything is connected, exactly.
Man, this is like so
And so I think a big part of me is that like I just love storytelling and being involved in storytelling, and I think that's the big kayak benang merahnya dari like Hipotesa tuh.
Yeah. Yes.
New Narrative is just like you get to tell stories.
Yeah.
Right.
The difference I think is that like Hipotesa is a very, very like we make content for an audience, right? So the end goal is reaching the audience because audience converts the views, converts to money, which converts back into like more productions. Sorry. I'm not saying that that's a bad model. I'm just saying that like after years and years of doing that, I don't think that model is for me.
How long did you do it for?
Five until
years?
not 5 years, since 2018 until
Oh, yeah.
2020. I'm still semi-active in
quick
Rad, so
math.
it's like 5 years at this point. Yeah.
Like, how are you semi-active? Like, gimana sih?
I used to like handle everything. This is also like I used to handle a lot of the things by myself. Everything's like I edited everything. I was editor, animator. I did audio, also quality assurance. Also did graphic design for the videos, graphic design for the thumbnails. Okay, number one, I was very, very definitely overworked, and that's partially that was my fault, but like I think it was also just like like the that kind of life is quite demanding, and like it was getting a little bit stagnant personally for me, but I was getting also very, very tired. But again, I was also like a very, very like depressed state in my life where I was being like I was desperate for something new, but I was also I think I was desperate for meaning. I was in a place in my life where I was like I'm getting hundreds of thousands of views, and some of that, one of the frustrating things is that does not convert into very, very good money, right? In Indonesia, we don't have very good advertisers.
Yeah.
So like, I think our like CPM is like only like 10% of what it is in like America, for example. I think their CPM is like for every click you get $1. Here it's like for every click you get like 12 cents or something like that. It's depressing. And so it's like I'm earning 10% less. If I made content in English, it'll be so much better. But then I'm not making content for Indonesians, right? And so I was kind of being like, oh. But then the other aspect of it was also like I'm making it for the audience, but then the audience is out there, like, we never really like met the audience. We don't really interact with the audience. I mean, like, we do comment section stuff. We like their posts, but then it's for them. It's for future Indonesians. And then what New Narrative does is it makes it very, very tangible, because we, or at least I get to be involved in very, very like real issues. I get to meet people, right? I think I was very, very much part of like the target audience of like New Narrative, where they were like people only I wasn't consuming news, I was making news, but at the same time I was like, I never get to do anything about it other than make news or make videos in like media. And so to be able to actually meet other people who were also involved, who also cared, who also shared my interests, and then from that getting connected to other people, I was just at like last 2 weeks ago I was at an event where I was meeting labor organizers, not just from Indonesia but from like Taiwan, from like the Philippines. I was meeting migration activists from all over Southeast Asia. So I actually meet with people who are I can't really say that I go into the field. I can't really say that I turun lapangan, but like I get to meet people who deal with these things on a daily basis, or at least whose work. Some of them are like advocates for like refugees. Some of them are like mereka kerja di LBH Jakarta, which is like, if you know anything about like politics, LBH Jakarta is one of those organizations that's always like there whenever there's like aksi massa, like aksi mahasiswa or like aksi buruh. They're always there to like make sure that everyone's protected. So on that level, I kind of feel like I'm actually in touch. Not because like if you look at New Narrative, like the views don't really compare to Hipotesa. Hipotesa gets hundreds of thousands of views. A New Narrative gets like thousands or sometimes even less than that. But because I am able to meet with people, I get to meet people who are like working, and I get to also like hear their stories, and I get to like help, whether directly or indirectly. I feel like, okay, my work is more tangible, right? My work has more meaning, and I think I'm in a place in my life right now where like that is more meaningful to me. And and I'm also, I'm also, again, going back to what we were talking about previously, I no longer believe in that the startup culture that it's going to like necessary. That's what we need to like make our country progress. Honestly, I'm no longer like a capitalist, right? I am very, very much left leaning. I hope this podcast doesn't get banned. Hello. But yeah, I'm sort of like, I find myself politically being more of like an anarchist and stuff like that. So I like no joke. I'm not saying that it's just like I'm not doing it for the views.
Safe to say, you're the most interesting. Like I don't know. Like for me, just like misalnya you've been in the startup like apa sih? What do you call
Culture.
it?
Startup culture.
Culture, I guess. Yeah, like doing even investment. Maksudnya getting investments, building a company, and then you went out from that, and then trying to find meaning in your job, and then you found new narrative, and like. Being in the streets and everything, I just feel like it's
very interesting. I think kalau misalkan apalagi mau ngomongin soal mental health juga ya, kayak
and you're a very big proponent of mental health as well. Kayak tadi you touched on how kayak you were in a very low place, dark place during your time at Hipotesa, maybe towards the end gitu, and then that led to you searching
not just at the end, multiple times.
That led you searching for meaning in other aspects of your life gitu. Like what do you
maybe we're gonna save it for next episode.
But that's true.
Are we running out of time?
Yeah, man.
For like
that's why I try to
for
I think we can squeeze this one in.
This one in, last one.
Yeah, I think
mental health.
A little bit. Yeah, I mean, just like a teaser.
I mean,
it's a deep one.
Yeah, that's why I was like.
But I mean, like, if you want to, sure. I mean, like, how much time do you have left? How much time are you?
I think we've done it for an hour. See.
Oh, okay.
No, like we only have like for a couple of minutes.
Couple of minutes. That's like an outro.
Yeah.
All right then.
Yeah. So sorry, like we can get to it. Tapi ya tadi makanya sih I was trying to get. Man, we have so many.
So
things.
sorry. Yeah.
Tadi like aduh.
Do I want? I don't know. It's up to you guys. Like
no, it's fine.
Call if you want to make it.
I think
I can try to give like a short version if like maybe if you want to like if you guys have like a sharp like a more focused question. Speaking so far away.
I think
I don't know.
Atau gimana? I feel like mental health is.
Yeah,
we can save it.
Yeah, we can. We'll save it for the upcoming episodes, like for next time. Because I think it's a very interesting interesting topic, especially like in the media field.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of YouTubers that's successful, like especially in abroad that I know. But then they keep talking about, oh, this is not good for me mentally, and then they take a break. We can like that's a very interesting topic that we can talk like about deeply.
And even in Indonesia juga kan like the state of mental health, as I'm sure you know.
If you want, I can give like a very, very short answer for that. Like when I say short, like maybe like 2 minutes or less if you want to. Kalau mau ya. Tapi ya terserah sih. Yeah, it's up to you guys.
Nah,
you make the call.
We'll save it lah.
Yeah, we'll save it.
It's fine.
We'll jangan kapok.
Yeah, this warrants a second episode. Next time we go and blaze through points. God damn it.
We're gonna invite you again.
So like okay, cool.
But it's fine though. We got through. I think like tadi. I mean we got through a lot of. I mean basically your.
I think it was more like career.
Your life.
Honestly, if I want to, tapi kayak gitu sih ya.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's like an interesting segue nanti kalau to the next episode gitu.
Ya udah, okay.
Alright, kayak
so when's the next episode?
We'll email you. I mean, we have like 150 people on the list.
Yeah. Really?
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, kind of a big deal.
Alex,
now I kind of wish
according to Alex, you have to wait at least 10 episodes until the same guest can appear again.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's like the unspoken rule, kind of. But yeah,
do we want to talk about it and then save it for like the Patreon account?
Patreon. No, we don't do Patreon. We do like another platform that's based on subscription.
It starts with a no.
No. What are you thinking, bro? At the end of every episode, I mean, if you have,
If you want to shout out,
like something, something that you want to say, and maybe like promote your
YouTube
channels or everything to
your
our
Naratif,
audience.
or even yourself.
Yeah, just
myself.
go for it.
Yeah. So talked about Hipotesa. So I'm gonna shout out Hipotesa. It's HIPOTESA.
Hipotesa.
Hipotesa. I'm pretty sure you can put the links in the description.
Absolutely.
For like mostly for like an Indonesian audience. If you like history and politics and like politics that actually matter to your life, that's one. NewNarrative.com is like where I'm mostly active now. That is like if you're interested in Southeast Asia in general. Basically, making Southeast Asia a more progressive and like inclusive place and like protecting democracy. Personally, I don't know.
Fashion channel, photography channel.
Photography. If you want to,
My photography is currently on hiatus. I don't really do photography that much. I'm Daniel Anugerah on like YouTube, and sometimes I publish videos that are like trips and like photos and stuff like that. You can go there. And then I guess like fashion, I have like an Instagram account I started recently.
Nice. I follow
like,
that one.
Yeah, it's like threadbare, like thread, and then bear, like beruang.
Like on
It's
Instagram though.
Yeah, on Instagram. So that's
Right.
like thread, spelled thread, and then bear is BEAR.
Wait.
Yeah, it's 3 R's. It's bear with 3 R's. Yeah, because like threadbare with only 1 R was already taken, and threadbare with only 2 R's already also taken.
Okay.
and then on
yeah.
on Thread, it's Instagram Bear.
What about on Threads? It's Instagram
on Threads,
bear with like 4 R's.
Threads is not gonna go anywhere, guys. Thread is not gonna go anywhere. It's like
dropping down. I don't know.
That's
X,
a whole
on the
nother
other hand.
discussion right there.
Yeah. X is also not gonna. If anything, X is going into the ground, mainly because they already had a good thing going, and then Elon Musk is.
Right, Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Honestly.
Whoa.
Okay, alright. Sorry, I don't.
I mean, man.
Dude, okay. If you're gonna get me talking about Elon Musk, I'm not gonna shut up for like a while.
We're done.
We're gonna save it. We're gonna save it for the next episode.
Anyways,
Threadbare.
that's all.
Threadbare.
For your information, we have a fanboy over here.
Oh man. Hi Elon.
We're gonna have a 1v1 discussion about
you're
Elon Musk
watching-
later. We're gonna be the judge, and then you and Alex
I mean,
can fight it out.
If we have like 3 more hours, that would be. But right now it's 1936. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was
actually.
amazing. An amazing 1 hour.
Amazing deep dive into your career, and thank you for being our guest.
This is fun.
And we're definitely gonna be inviting you again to
let's
discuss
talk
about
some other stuff some other time.
Yeah.
Alright. Thank you buat semua yang udah nonton episode 16 ini sampai sekarang. Kalau ada yang kurang atau ada feedback, silahkan tulis di kolom komentar di bawah. Kalau suka sama videonya, jangan lupa di like, jangan lupa subscribe. Kalau enggak juga nggak apa-apa. Tolong di share. Soalnya kalau kata Alex kan ini breakout video ya. Breakout video. Every episode.
Breakout video, bro.
Kenisha, edit the
Kenisha,
heck out of this
please.
one.
We're gonna make it.
All
I
right.
mean, he said it's not going anywhere. So Alright.
No, I'm saying you have to adjust your
Outro for the last
strategy.
time. Outro for the last time.
For the last time, please.
Outro.
Alright. Thank you guys buat semua yang udah nonton. We're signing out. Thank you and God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.